what's your assessment of what's happening in San Francisco? We have this graphic to help support the notion that it's an end of an era. I'm not saying that there's a window closing. There's still a ton of talented players there, but a lot of fans of the Niners are seeing these names go elsewhere or expected to go elsewhere. Leonard Floyd got released during this conversation. So what do you think is happening in San Francisco, Mike Mayock, right now?
I think a couple things, Rich. Number one, I think financial ramifications and the way they've been doing business over the years bring a certain reality. They've had a lot of injuries on high paid players over the last several years on both sides of the line of scrimmage. I'm a coach's son, as you know, and I know coaches. My whole life has been around coaches. And what coaches want is they want the best players available and they want them now. And they don't really typically care how old they are or what they cost. They just want the general manager and the infrastructure, the cap, and the building to provide them good players. And so I feel a little empathy for Kyle Shanahan right now because good players are leaving that building. And they have been a perennial favorite to compete for the Super Bowl. So I think there's a little bit of a pushback within the building, and I'm guessing this, just that we've got to do some business in a different way. We've got to stay younger. We've got to stay healthier. And, we've drafted pretty well. Let's lean back on that now. And so I don't know what you want to call it, a restructure or retool. I think they'll continue to compete. They'll get the job. That young quarterback is better than people think. And I think they will compete. But I think they've got a year or two now where they got to figure some stuff out, Rich.
And in the 1 year anniversary of Saquon Barkley signing with the Eagles defense has been picked apart in the first few hours of the new league year and free agency. The Rams keep their quarterback in Stafford. They add Devontae Adams to go with Puka Nacua. They go ahead and get Poona Ford for that defensive line. And then you see what Washington has done. They're using the cap space that they have to supplement an already spectacular situation with what you saw, that they were able to get some expensive assets of top-notch, ready-to-go quality in Debo for the offense, and then for Laramie Tunsil to protect their golden child at quarterback. Which one do you think has? I guess they've gotten closer. Do you think the NFC in the last 48 hours has been somewhat tightened at the top, Mike? What do you think?
Somewhat, and I'm intrigued by Washington. I think Dan Quinn and Adam Peters are joined at the hip. You made all the correct points. They're pairing Debo with McLaurin. I think the Tunsil deal is huge. They signed both tight ends, Zach Ertz, who's like that quarterback security blanket, and a guy named John Bates, who's a better player than people understand. They got them both re-signed. They got Bobby Wagner on defense. They continue to make intelligent moves. They signed a whole bunch of one-year players a year ago, Rich. So you knew there was going to be some movement this year, and there is. But I love what I see there. The Rams, Les Snead doesn't get enough credit out there. In addition to the moves you made, they also re-signed Tutu Atwell for $10 million guaranteed, which sounded rich to me. But in hindsight, I'm guessing it was part of the pitch to the quarterback, Matthew Stafford. Hey, we're going to go get Devontae. You got Puka, and we're going to keep Tutu, who's an explosive kid. So I continue to be really impressed with what they do. They compete every year. Every time you want to write off the Rams, they continue to compete. And lastly, with Philadelphia, Howie's not done yet. They've made the trade of the safety to Houston. And C.J. Gardner-Johnson's a good player. But in return, they got a former first-round pick in Kenyon Green, who has been hurt and not playing well. And I think Philly's kind of got the secret ingredient with offensive line coach Jeff Stoutland. Where's he from, Rich? You got any idea?
Staten Island, New York, Mike Mayock, my hometown. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He's a Hall of Fame coach, And I think Howie uses him like a secret weapon. Okay, we're going to get the Australian rugby guy and turn him into an all-pro guy. Check. Mekhi Becton. Check. Okay, let's bring in this green kid. And by the way, if they keep Becton, which they probably can't financially, but if they could, he could be the long-term replacement at tackle for Lane Johnson while you slide Kenyon Green in the guard. So, Rich, we could do this all day. I wish we had more time.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.